Welcome to Charlie and Terry. Talk about things trivial and crucial.
Here we are, Terry, for another episode. They've been a little bit a belated episode, I guess I should say. We've had a few setbacks this season. We're not just getting around to doing another one. This one is one of our park bench series. But we didn't make it to the park bench. We've had some difficulties in finding a suitable location with a clean bench. So here we are in the back porch session of Park Bench.
Yep.
So what are we doing today?
This is pick a person that you would like to sit on a park bench and kibitz with.
Kibitz? Is that an English word?
No, it's Yiddish, but it's to talk and kind of interview back and forth and
have a friendly discussion.
Friendly discussion.
Get some advice. Or
yeah.
Something
and we
like
pick
that.
and we pick somebody that may be famous, maybe not, and we go from there.
All right. You want to kick it off?
I'll kick it off. My person is Elanor Roosevelt. Everybody knows she was First Lady, married to FDR. She was born in 1884 to a very prominent family. Her father, Elliot, was actually the younger brother of Theodore Roosevelt, who was also a president.
So that made her cousin?
She was a niece. She was Theodore Roosevelt's niece.
Yeah.
But she had a kind of unhappy childhood. Her mother died very young from diphtheria, and her father was an alcoholic, and he spent most of his adult life in a sanitarium, and he died young also. She was raised actually by her maternal grandmother. At 15, she was sent to London at a boarding school, and she kind of blossomed there. She learned a lot of things. She learned about social life and social graces, but she also learned to think for herself and to read books and to be a critique of those books and to get out in the world and question things. When she came back to the United States in 1902, she met her fifth cousin, once removed, Franklin Roosevelt, and the two became a kind of began a secret correspondence, and they got married at the White House, not at the White House, but in New York City, and Theodore Roosevelt, the president at that time, this was 1905, gave her away. And so she helped immensely with her husband's political career. FDR is not very well known, but FDR was an unsuccessful vice presidential candidate in 1920. And from there, he continued to be active in Democratic politics. In 1924, FDR, as people know, came ill with polio.
How old was he at the time? He was like 20 or so?
Yeah, he was actually in his 30s, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Because he was born in 1882.
Okay.
So in order to keep his political career active, he sent Elanor to go and talk to various Democratic machines, politicians, to keep his name in the race. And in 1928, she helped out with Al Smith's unsuccessful campaign for president. And but Theodore Roosevelt was elected governor of New York at that time, and she became the First Lady of New York. And as everybody knows, FDR was elected president in 1932. Now, she became very active in affairs and the civil rights movement and women's rights. An interesting fact is, and then one of my favorite stories, is that in 1933, there was a bonus army march on Washington, and veterans camped out in the kind of muddy campground in Washington, D.C. 2 years before that, they had done the same thing, and Hoover, the president at that time, sent Douglas MacArthur and dispersed with the army and dispersed the protesters at that time, the bonus army, and they used tear gas and batons to beat them out of the of the area of the park.
Before you cut into, I'm going to cut you off here. I mean, before you cut into all my time,
Okay.
what is it you would like to talk to Elanor Roosevelt about?
I would like to talk to her about her activism. She was very active in the women's rights movement. She was the first lady that had her own radio show and newspaper column. She was also active in the civil rights movement, especially after her husband died, and after she was no longer first lady. While in I think in 1945, Marian Anderson, a black opera singer, was barred from
DAR.
the Constitution Hall by the DAR.
Mm-hmm.
She resigned from the DAR and arranged for Marian Anderson to perform on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. And after that, she invited Marian Anderson frequently to sing at the White House. After her,
Okay, I thought she wasn't in the White House then.
no, she was, and it was just before she left.
Okay.
And then after, I think it was in 1939, this happened. Another interesting thing about Elanor Roosevelt is that after she left the White House, Harry Truman appointed her to the UN as a UN General Assembly delegate from the U.S. And as that, she became the head of the Human Rights Commission. And in 1948, she helped draft the Universal Declaration on Human Rights for the United Nations. And she's received a standing ovation from the General Assembly. She was very well known. She was known as
So
the
what are you
first
going
lady.
to ask her?
I was going to ask her about, how she felt about why she became active, because she was a very kind of a shrinking violet. She was very shy as a teenager, and after Allenwood, something happened to make her blossom in terms of feeling, that she was empowered. And I think that's a good example for all the women of the world.
How about men? A good example for men, maybe.
Yeah, good example for men too. But she was very out front in the civil rights movement. She very outspoken in support of the 60s civil rights movement, late 50s, 60s. And she passed away in 1962. But actually, President Kennedy renominated her for the UN. But she was kind of ill at that time, and
Yeah.
she passed away.
Yeah.
But she was a great lady. I would love to speak to her because she just had so many good ways to look at the world. Her idea of the world was so advanced for a woman of her day, I think, and she was a great lady. One of my favorite quotes of hers is, "Goals are dreams with time limits." And I had that on my wall, actually on my door, when I worked for the state's attorney's office.
All right. Well, I guess you made the case there. I mean, she definitely sounds like she would be worth talking to, and
So
no question about it. So
who are you going to talk about?
my choice was probably fairly, maybe sort of obvious in a way, but our little ditty, which we don't play too much anymore because it's got too long, but it says we talk about the crucial and the trivial.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's time to get crucial for me. So I would like to speak with Abraham Lincoln, right?
Excellent choice.
And today we live in fraught and uncertain times, and certainly chaotic. And I don't think it's quite as terrible as it was at the time of the Civil War, but we do have major splits, and we've got tribalism and extreme partisanship, and some of the same kinds of attitudes. People, hate people just because they're another group, and they seem, their willingness to kill other people just because they think they don't like them, even though they never met them. So the Civil War, I guess, to me, is a reminder of the destruction that can take place, and I think it's physical destruction, and I think it's some kind of a moral, and I'll call it psychic destruction that takes place in people, in people as a whole. And that's the kind of thing I would like to kind of query Mr. Lincoln about. I mean, after the Civil War, he didn't seem to harbor any animosity toward the South, and he sought to really heal the nation, right? And he wanted to renew its vigor as a unified country. And if you look at the cost of the Civil War just in lives, I mean, it was, I guess there are various estimates, but
About
I've seen
600,000.
600,000 or so, and that's just the dead.
Yeah.
And there were more casualties or more deaths from disease and sickness than bullets at the time, I think, from what I've read. But nonetheless, the population of the country was somewhere around 30 million back then. And so that was the dead and wounded, and that's probably about 2% of the population. Yeah. And if you extrapolate that today, that would be almost the population of New York City. But,
some towns were totally decimated from the male population.
Yeah.
They lost an entire male population.
And you got to think that, I mean, these were, young men in their prime, right?
Right.
18, 17 to 20 or in that range. And, the Civil War ended in April of 1865. April 9th, I think, was the exact date. And Abraham,
well, that's when Lee surrendered.
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated about a week later in April. I'd like to think of his second inaugural address, but I'm going to read. I got something. It's a little bit long, but not that long. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. So I would like to ask Mr. Lincoln what advice he would have for us today. How can we return to, even though will never always agree across the board, but how we could return to a civil discourse, all right, to become a single nation, right, and on the path to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what, he must have some thoughts about everything after he went through all this and how to achieve unity. God knows we have problems in this country, and we should be looking to solve those problems rather than to become further and further apart with different ideas. So anyway, that's my reasoning, and I think that Abraham Lincoln was one of our great presidents, and we should listen. I wish I could hear him and see what he had to say.
He would be a great advisor. He would be someone with good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had sound advice, sound judgment.
Plus the level of understanding that he had about people and the nation. And, it's funny, I'm thinking about Abraham Lincoln. As a Boy Scout, I think if my memory serves me right, I learned the Gettysburg Address by heart. Now I know it was 7 years ago. I think, now I don't even remember what I remember, right? Nobody told me getting old would happen so fast. So anyway, here we are. And I think for my part, I've said as much as I can say, really. And I think I'm done.
Okay. One thing I'd like to add is Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy, toward the end of his life said, the worst thing that happened to us was Abraham Lincoln getting killed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a hard, difficult task, but I think it would have made a big difference, and we would probably be a different country today. And that shows you what a single great man can do.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we've probably used up everybody's attention.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll move on.
Well, okay. This is our last episode
for this year,
for this season.
Yeah.
We hope to catch you in the fall. In the meantime, good health to you all, and we'll see you.
Yep. So long, everyone.